Good morning. Good to have you with us on this Thursday. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah Sellers is on assignment. It is day 6 of competition at the Olympics, and Team USA has plenty to celebrate this morning as more events get underway. American athletes won 4 more medals on Wednesday. That brings the team's total medal count to 30, or maybe perhaps 31 as we see there, keeping the U.S. in the top spot for most medals won by any country so far. The real legacy moment from yesterday happened in the pool. Swimmer Katie Ledecky shattered her previous record in the 1,500-meter freestyle, where she now holds the fastest times in the world. It might be time to call that event the Ledecky. The U.S. men's basketball team also had a big day. A double-digit win against South Sudan helped them advance to the quarterfinals. Another U.S. team still in medal contention is the women's national soccer team. They beat Australia in the final match of group play and will now face off against Japan on Saturday. And to cap off Team USA's history-making moments, Evie Liebfarth became the first American woman to ever medal in solo canoe. She's taking home the bronze medal. On deck today, the women's gymnastics all-around finals. The world will be watching as Simone Biles continues her epic Olympic comeback tour, hoping to win gold in the event that she won back in Rio in 2016. We're going to have full team coverage of the latest from Paris throughout the morning. Let's start with NBC News Now anchor Tom Yamas, who spoke with Ledecky after she won gold in the 1,500 freestyle, a win that cements her place in U.S. Olympic history.
25 meters left for Ledecky to make more history.
Katie Ledecky sitting on top of the Olympic world.
And the greatest swimming machine we've ever seen rolls on to another gold here in Paris.
The superstar swimmer now tied for the most medals held by any American female Olympian with 12, blowing past her competition in the 1,500-meter freestyle, a race she has absolutely dominated for years to bring home the gold and set a new Olympic record.
Look and listen to this arena. They are going wild for one of the greatest ever, Katie Ledecky. She came to Paris chasing history. Tonight, no one can catch her. So take me back to the pool. You hit the wall, see you celebrating, see you come out, you just jump up in the air. Talk to me about that moment. Why was this one so special?
I just wanted to swim a time that I would be really happy with, and that was. And, you know, it's never easy to win a gold medal, so I don't take it for granted, and I'm just trying to take it day by day.
And she's not done yet. Ledecky will have 2 more chances to leave Paris as the most decorated female Olympian in U.S. history.
What more can America expect from you at these Paris Games?
I'm going to give my best effort each race and represent Team USA to the best of my ability and hopefully bring home some more hardware.
Tori Husk is coming to the wall.
And a surprise silver for U.S. swimmer Tori Husk in the 100-meter free, her 3rd medal of the game so far.
I really trusted in my race plan and my coach and what he was telling me, so I knew it was possible, but it's still so excited to be on the podium again, and I think that the competition really brought out the best in me.
I saw you hug your parents. I know swimming is a family sport in the sense that your parents are there, they drop you off, they're there for all the practices. What's it been like to share these medals with your family?
It's been so nice, especially after Tokyo when they couldn't come because of COVID. It's so nice to get to share these moments with them. It makes it so much more special.
Edwards left alone, splash.
Veterans LeBron James and Kevin Durant leading an all-star men's basketball squad to a smooth victory over South Sudan. Now heading into the knockout round as the team goes for its 5th straight gold medal. But it was a tough day for the men's gymnastics team after a monumental bronze finish in the team final. Both Fred Richard and Paul Judah fell short in the individual all-around. And a disappointing Olympics continues for tennis star Coco Gauff, who was knocked out of the doubles tournament after losing in the 3rd round of singles competition. And on the men's side, Rafael Nadal's Olympics and possibly his career coming to an end as Nadal fell to the Americans.
She does have a great run going.
Oh, went for the front flip. We have not seen that in competition here in Paris.
In women's BMX freestyle, a heartbreaking moment for 5-time world champion Hannah Roberts, who crashed but triumphed for her teammate.
And Paris Benegas has jumped into 2nd place with a 90.70.
Paris Benegas coming out of the gate with a strong performance to secure silver.
In the triathlon, pollution nearly led to the swimming portion being called off. But today, organizers felt it was safe enough to jump in. Athletes say the toughest part was the current.
Here's Kelly Chang, one of the great players in the world, and she puts it away.
American beach volleyball duo Kelly Cheng and Sarah Hughes winning a hard-fought match against France as they strive for gold.
Snoop Dogg is in the house.
Cheered on by their biggest fan, none other than rapper Snoop Dogg.
Our thanks to Tom Yamas for sharing some of Wednesday's historic Olympic highlights. Speaking of historic, or perhaps more appropriately iconic, let's bring in NBC sports reporter Jimmy Roberts, who's also a host on NBC's Golf Channel. Jimmy, good morning. Thank you so much for joining me. I know Paris marks the 20th Olympic Games you've covered, which is an incredible milestone. You remain one of my favorite storytellers at the Games. I'm curious, what's been your favorite moment so far? What are you looking forward to most now, too?
You know, Joe, every day I wake up and it's a gift. It's such a surprise. I think about all the surprises which always make up the best stories in the Games. I keep on going back to two in particular, not here, but many years ago. In Sydney, Eric Moussambani, and many people may not remember that name, but he was known colloquially as Eric the Eel, a guy who could barely swim, was in the pool by himself, and got such a rousing and memorable round of applause from the Australians who love swimming. And the other one was Rulon Gardner, and that too was in Sydney, and he beat Alexander Karelin, who was absolutely, literally unbeatable at that point, and here came this farm boy to beat him. Stuff like that always happens. You know, it's great to see the Simone Biles and the U.S. men's basketball team, and my favorite moment, honestly, so far, to answer your question, I have a way of taking a long time to answer a question. I think is the way the U.S. rugby team, the women's team, the way that bronze medal game ended the other day, just at the buzzer. First time that, you know, the U.S. women had ever won a medal in rugby at the Games. I thought it was fantastic.
It's always the moments that you don't see coming that make the Olympics. You know, Paris obviously is very different from Tokyo. The crowds are back in full force. I wonder if there's a sense the game themselves have been reinvigorated because people are looking to reconnect. I mean, what's your sense? What's the mood like there?
Well, it feels like old times right now, and it seems like Tokyo and, you know, that the Olympics that we have had to kind of endure, I would say, during the pandemic, it just seems like a million years ago. I mean, Paris is such an amazing city. It's joyous. It's no different, I think, than it is any other time that I've been here. It's true to character, and I think that this is just such a perfect location for a Games. It's special. I mean, there are some great places when you think about where the Olympics have been and where they're going, but I think it's perfectly in character for Paris to host these Games, considering what our most recent history was.
How is it that you prepare for the Games and think this is going to be the perfect Jimmy Roberts story? This is what I need to cover.
You know, it's my dirty little secret, and we'll just keep it between us and we won't tell anybody, but I don't prepare. I just wake up every day and I'm hopeful that some kind of story will present itself. You know, and there are so many here. There was a medalist yesterday who won bronze, a woman in the backstroke. She won it 32 years after her father had won the very same medal in the very same event for men. Things like that just kind of strike me, and those stories are all over the Games. And as I said before, you know, it's easy to pay attention to Simone Biles. She's amazing. And by the way, at 27 years old, you know, she's kind of not only the greatest of all time, but she's the oldest woman to win an Olympic gold medal in 60 years. I mean, that's just remarkable. But those stories are right there for everybody to consume. Katie Ledecky, we were talking about this last night. Katie Ledecky hasn't lost the 1,500 meters, any 1,500-meter race, in 14 years. That means she hasn't lost since the Obama administration, the first Obama administration. So stuff like that is just, it's just wonderful. And for me, that's what sports are all about. Sure, it's the numbers. Katie Ledecky's got the 20 fastest times of all time in that event. But it's the human story. There used to be a line on the old program, ABC's Wide World of Sports, which was how I broke into the industry as a production assistant working on that show. And one of the opening lines to that show was the human drama of athletic competition. And while we all want to see the competition, I think it's the human stories that so many of us are here for. That's always been the thing that's attracted me.
Jimmy Roberts, we could probably talk to you all day long, but we will let you go. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We really do appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
All right. And you can catch today's Olympic events, including the women's gymnastics all-around finals featuring Simone Biles on NBC and streaming on Peacock. Turning to politics now, Vice President Kamala Harris is responding to controversial comments made by former President Trump about her racial identity, saying the American people deserve better. Mr. Trump's statements came during a question and answer session yesterday at the annual convention for the National Association of Black Journalists, which is taking place in Chicago. He falsely suggested that the vice president had decided to, quote, turn black only recently for political gain. NBC's Garrett Hake has details and the reaction.
Former President Trump facing fierce backlash after falsely claiming Vice President Harris, who went to a historically black college and is a member of a black sorority, did not identify as black.
I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black? I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
The White House responding in real time.
What you just read out to me is repulsive. It's insulting.
Harris is the daughter of Indian and Jamaican immigrants.
It was the same old show. The divisiveness and the disrespect. And let me just say, the American people deserve better.
It all unfolded during an often combative interview at a black journalism conference. The former president there to court black voters.
I've done so much for the black population of this country, including employment, including opportunity zones.
But later was pressed about his comments that the record number of migrants have hit the black population hard, taking what he termed black jobs.
Coming from the border are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs. You had the best.
What exactly is a black job, sir?
A black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is. Anybody that has a job.
All right.
And they're taking the employment away from black people.
The Trump campaign has been going after Harris on immigration.
She unleashed the worst border crisis in American history on her watch.
But Harris flipping the script, pointing to Trump's efforts to scuttle a bipartisan border bill he said wasn't tough enough.
He tanked the bipartisan deal because he thought it would help him win an election. Which goes to show Donald Trump does not care about border security. He only cares about himself.
And that was Garrett Hake reporting. The former president went on to blast the questions at the event, calling them rude and nasty. We should note many journalists are applauding the moderator, specifically ABC's Rachel Scott, for their questions and follow-ups. For more on this, let's bring in NBC News campaign embed, Nnamdi Igwanwu. Nnamdi, good to have you with us. So you were there. Let's talk first. Hours after the former president's controversial remarks at the convention, he held his first campaign rally in Pennsylvania since last month's assassination attempt. He continued to criticize the vice president. Let's listen to a snippet of that, and we'll talk on the other side.
No matter how much Kamala Harris tries to change her image, she cannot change this fact. She is the most extreme liberal candidate in the history of our country by far. She's an extreme radical left lunatic.
All right, so let's rewind a little bit. You were there at the NABJ convention in Chicago. In the room, what was the mood like during the panel? What were maybe some of the things that we could hear but we couldn't necessarily see?
Yeah, Joe, I have to tell you, just coming into that room ahead of Trump's remarks even, there was high anxiety over exactly what he was going to say. You know, members of the organization were very, very split about him being invited to attend this conference in the first place. So people were sort of walking on eggshells to see whether or not he would come and sort of tamp himself down or be the typical brash Donald Trump that we're used to. And it was very clear immediately when he hit the stage that he was going to be the Donald Trump that we're used to. You know, I think for as far as the reception of the crowd, when he came out, there was no applause. You know, when he started immediately attacking ABC's Rachel Scott as being hostile and asking rude questions, there were gasps in the room. There were boos at several points, including when he referenced Vice President Harris's race, suggesting that she sort of has only turned black in recent years. So as he was sort of getting combative, the audience was very much so showing their displeasure with some of his remarks. You know, I remember at a certain point, there was a gentleman in the back when he started suggesting that immigrants were coming in and taking black jobs, who attempted to stand up and yell a question, but was sort of eventually drowned out. You know, the audience was making it known exactly how they felt about Trump's comments in real time. And you can actually hear it in some of the audio clips you've been playing, the several gasps, moments of exasperation, people just sort of stunned at what they were hearing. That continued throughout the event, which ultimately was cut short and ended with Donald Trump kind of walking off the stage to some boos.
Nnamdi, you mentioned there was a lot of debate about whether this should even happen in the first place. In the end, what was the feeling? Did people who attended it feel like, yeah, this was in the end a good thing for the organization to do?
I have to be honest with you. I think a lot of the critics of this move probably felt validated by the time the event ended. You know, before Trump started speaking, he was already on Truth Social attacking Kamala Harris for not attending. And that was a concern, that he was merely using this opportunity to score political points and you know, have another opportunity to blast his opponents. So I think in the end of it, a lot of people, there's some who say, hey, at least some of these members got to see Donald Trump in person for the first time, something that, you know, some journalists are able to do often, but others in that room never had. But for the most part, I think a lot of people ultimately felt like this did more harm to the organization than good, although the organizers will tell you this is a long precedent. It's, you know, they've invited candidates of both parties in the past. But of course, Donald Trump is not like most other candidates from the past.
As we heard in Garrett's piece setting this up, Vice President Harris responded directly to his remarks during a campaign stop last night in Houston. What else is she saying about this controversy?
Yeah, you know, the vice president, she responded, but in a way that is sort of allows her to keep her positioning as being a more positive alternative to Donald Trump. She often talks about wanting to take America to a future where diversity is embraced, and, you know, she is representative of her coalition of voters, which come, of course, from voters of all stripes, all colors, all backgrounds. So she did hit on this remarks during her event yesterday, sort of suggesting that Donald Trump is a leader who responds with hostility and anger, and she, of course, isn't. Take a listen to what she had to say.
The American people deserve a leader who tells the truth, a leader who does not respond with hostility and anger when confronted with the facts. We deserve a leader who understands that our differences do not divide us. They are an essential source of our strength.
Yeah, you know, that's pretty much in line with what Vice President Harris has said about Donald Trump throughout her presidential run already, often calling him as someone who is hostile, responds with anger, and saying that's not what the American people needs, particularly in a moment when many voters are, you know, craving some form of unity in the country.
All right, Nnamdi Igwanwu, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. Also this morning, nearly 23 years after 9/11, 3 men accused of plotting the attacks, including the alleged mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, have agreed to a plea deal with the U.S. government. Officials say the men are scheduled to appear at a hearing at the military prison at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, next week. As of now, details of the plea agreement remain unclear, but the defendants are expected to plead guilty to lesser charges that could spare them the death penalty. The Defense Department said that the 3 suspects were initially charged back in 2008 with war crimes and murder for their alleged roles in the attack that claimed nearly 3,000 lives. The men are not likely to be sentenced for several months. In the Middle East, hundreds gathered in Tehran today for the funeral of top Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh. Hamas and Iran are accusing Israel of assassinating Hania, but Israeli officials have not yet commented on the attack. Hania was a top political leader and one of the key Hamas negotiators for a potential ceasefire deal in Gaza. Now global leaders are concerned that any deal might be out of reach. NBC News international correspondent Matt Bradley is live in Beirut with the latest. Matt, good morning. So what more can you tell us about the service today, and what are Iranian officials saying about the possibility of retaliation?
Well, Joe, yeah, it's actually more than one service. We're seeing one here in Beirut for that Hezbollah leader who was killed just 2 days ago. So what we're seeing now in the Middle East, twin assassinations, twin funerals 2 days later, a very destabilizing matrix of different forces that are protesting against the Israelis, who they accuse of committing both. The Israelis have only copped to one, the one here in Beirut of that Hezbollah leader. But that one in Iran, that is, a Hamas leader, one who is much wanted by the Israelis. And so now we're starting to see all of these Iran-backed groups, be it Hezbollah here in Lebanon, Hamas in the Gaza Strip, the Houthis in Yemen, they're all coalescing even more than they were before around fighting the Israelis. So when I say these Iran-backed groups, this is the so-called axis of resistance that have, for the first time since those October 7th attacks, been acting in concert. And now, really for the first time, the Israelis seem to be attacking them in concert as well. The real worry here is that all of these fingers of the Iranian regime spread throughout the entire region are going to close into a fist, and that is going to create a major problem, not just for the Israelis, but also for the Americans, their allies.
Matt, we know that ceasefire negotiations are at a standstill right now. What's the U.S. saying about all this?
Well, it sounds as though they are pessimistic, and it was only a couple of days ago that they said that the idea of an all-out war in the Middle East was not inevitable, that it was unlikely. 2 days later, wow, things have really changed. And there was only a week ago that they said that there was some optimism around this deal. But, Joe, I got to tell you, these assassinations, they're not necessarily the ones that are going to be undermining these negotiations in any real way, because these negotiations were already very much undermined. They didn't need the help of the Israelis to assassinate these leaders. It has been 10 months of negotiating. The only last one, successful one, was all the way back in November. And we've been hearing, again, bursts of optimism time and time again that have been taken down by the reality of the situation, which is that both of these sides, Hamas and Israel, cannot come to agreement on the one main issue, which is the timeline for the Israeli full withdrawal from the Gaza Strip. So, yes, these assassinations have definitely frustrated those negotiations, but we have to remember here that those negotiations didn't need any help from the Israelis with these assassinations in order to be moribund, as they have been for months.
All right, Matt Bradley. Matt, thank you so much. Let's turn now for your morning News Now forecast. We've got scattered storms expected across the east, plus the heat still making headlines. Angie Lastman's here with the forecast. Angie, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. Yes, it is. You've got that right. We've got rain. We've got some really warm temperatures to talk about. Let's start with the rain that actually will progress into the potential for some strong and even severe storms by the time we get through the day today. Though a lot of us are still waking up to some wet weather, we've got most of that batch of rain focused across parts of Illinois, but we've seen it across a good chunk of this area here over the morning hours. So still might run into some wet roads if you get out and about in places like Kansas City or St. Louis. Cedar Rapids even was dealing with rain earlier, and you can see that stretches up into portions of the upper Midwest too. Minneapolis dry right now, but some showers are in the vicinity. This is going to continue to move to the east as the day goes on, and as we get those temperatures ramping up, we'll see plenty of instability, plenty of warmth for some of those thunderstorms to kind of spark a stronger or more impactful effects, I should say. 29 million people at risk of this here. The main thing we're going to be concerned about, the wind gusts. Kind of like yesterday, we got the potential to see wind gusts over 60 miles per hour. It's not quite as strong as what we were looking at yesterday, but still the hail, maybe an isolated tornado on the table. Take note of those major cities that are included in this. St. Louis, Indianapolis, Evansville, all have the potential to see that. This is from a system that's on the move over the next couple of days. So today, it's the severe risk. It's also the heavy rain that we'll track. But tomorrow, we'll kind of keep the scattered showers and thunderstorms in the picture for a good area of the east. That's the mid-Atlantic up into the northeast, even parts of the Midwest and the Great Lakes still dealing with some of that. And we'll see some gusty winds and some heavy rain possible. Today, that heavy rain that I mentioned, it's going to be impressive from Madison, Chicago, Indianapolis, Cincinnati, stretching down into parts of Kentucky, too. So heads up, we could see some flash flooding concern. I think ranges anywhere from 1 inch to 2 inches, but some higher amounts will be possible, too. So be mindful of that. Also, we've still got all those wildfires happening out west, and the smoke is continuing to be on the move and causing problems, specifically with air quality. We've got the unhealthy groups dealing with that across a good area of the country, Joe, but notice Denver is dealing with it, the unhealthy conditions for smoke and ozone, so something for folks to note there.
Sure, that impacts so many people. All right, Angie, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.